What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So just yesterday, Senators Joe Manchin and Senator Bernie Sanders got into a very heated argument, and I want to address what was said and how they went out of that meeting. We also know President Biden says $2 trillion will be the final number of this upcoming human infrastructure bill. The child tax credits are changing quite a bit, and I want to address what is happening there and how we could potentially see $2,000 payments. I want to explain why federal employees can now be compensated for any issues with the COVID vaccine. I'll address that in a second. Lawmakers are discussing permanent checks to families, and experts say shortages will be with much more than just food. Again, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoy these daily uploads, can you do me a favor? Go ahead, hit that like button. Also, feel free to share this video with your friends and family on Facebook so they too can stay updated as well. Let's get into the update for today. There are some major changes coming regarding the upcoming human infrastructure bill. One of the big ones is the overall price. This is what the argument between Senator Sanders and Senator Manchin was over yesterday. First, Senator Sanders, he was arguing that we keep on making cuts to this bill. We're not going after the rich and the wealthy. They are the ones that should be paying for the $2 to $3.5 trillion human infrastructure bill or stimulus package. Well, he says it needs to be $3.5 trillion. Joe Manchin came in and said, no, $1.5 trillion is still more money than we need to be spending at this time. Senator Joe Manchin, he says that we should simply pass the bipartisan infrastructure bill for $1.2 trillion and then wait an additional 6 months, and we can consider passing this human infrastructure bill then. Well, Senator Sanders replied with, why don't we just pass $6 trillion then? Well, Senator Joe Manchin, he said, how about zero? As he held up a zero at the table. This is where things got very heated. Senator Bernie Sanders says, right now, we need to pass $3.5 trillion. According to multiple reports and many aides, they say at this time, progressives are willing to pass just about anything as long as we get this deal done. The problem is they don't want to give in to all of Senator Joe Manchin's demands, because then we'll see pretty much everything stripped out of this bill. Senator Joe Manchin says that the $1.2 trillion bipartisan bill is all we need. He wants to wait 6 months because he wants to see what's going to happen with inflation. According to multiple reports, multiple experts, we were supposed to see that inflation was transitory. However, many are now saying inflation will be here for longer than many people expected. Now, I can tell you right now, waiting 6 months, this is not something that progressives are willing to do. But another big change that lawmakers are actually discussing or trying to agree to at this time is whether or not the child tax credit payments are going to be for 1 year, 0 years, so no extension, or a little bit longer. Well, according to multiple reports today from the Washington Post, they are coming closer to an agreement. We're right now, what we're going to see, and we are trying to get more details on this, but what we are seeing right now, multiple lawmakers are agreeing to the fact that, okay, 1 additional year of the child tax credit payment is acceptable as long as the child tax credit payments or child tax credits are permanent. Okay? So, and this, it's going to be a permanent, fully refundable tax credit. We already have the child tax credits. Those have been in place for years, right? Under former President Donald Trump, it went from what was $1,000 or whatever it was, $1,200, per child, up to $2,000. That was great. That was seen as a very big boost to children and families. Well, what lawmakers want to do now is they want to make this a permanent, fully refundable tax credit, which means when it's fully refundable, it means that even those that do not work, that don't have any wages, can still receive the tax credit, which means if a person doesn't work and yet they have children, they can still go and file their taxes for $0 in income for that year, but they can get a refund of $2,000 per child. And again, that would be permanent. Now, here's where things get very tricky. If this is extended for 1 year, then the permanent part would come after that. If it's extended for no years, then permanent would start now or start in 2022. But here's where discussions have actually turned. According to multiple reports, lawmakers are actually trying to figure out if we can see a monthly child tax credit payment if it's just $2,000 per year. So these $2,000 payments, they'd be broken down into 12 months, which would come out to a little bit over $166 per child per month. Now, this would actually break down to like, what was that, like $5.50 per day, something like that, right around there. Pretty close, I think. But this would go from a $3,000 per year benefit, or $250 per month, or that $3,600 payment, or that $300 per month your monthly payment to children. This would go down to $166 per child per month. That is still somewhat beneficial to many people because that's something that they get consistently every single month. Now, how much would it cost to implement this program? That's something that we do not know, but this is part of the discussions. Would it be worth it to do a monthly payment? Some say yes. Right now, what is being discussed and what is being said by many experts is that full refundability of this would actually be a greater impact, or have a greater impact on poverty reduction than the higher dollar amount. However, and this is still why lawmakers are discussing this, is because is $166 enough? Because if it's a full refundability, great, everybody would get it, and that would help out the lowest income earners, but would they get it just one time per year, or would it be a monthly payment? And what experts have said, and many studies have been done, monthly payments will have a greater impact on poverty reduction than just a one lump sum at the end of the year. So we're gonna see what happens there, but we could potentially be seeing $166 per child per month for this child tax credit payment moving forward. So it's all part of discussions, but as we know more, I promise I'll fill you in on those updates. Now, today, Nancy Pelosi also said that we might not see none, zero tax increases on corporations and the wealthy in this legislation. She says that this is becoming a very tricky situation, trying to get this bill passed in the current Senate. Because, as we know, there's still two holdouts, and yes, you may have guessed it, it is Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. They both do not want to see any tax increases. Right now, according to reports, and I'm not going to touch on this too much, but according to reports, Senator Joe Manchin gets a lot of money. He gets a lot of money donated to him by wealthier individuals and large corporations. So he does not want to touch this. He wants to keep the tax increase exactly where it is. If it goes up to from 21 to 25% or 26.5% where it is now, he doesn't support that. He supports 25, or at least he says. But many say no, he would not vote for this, and he's going to fight tooth and nail for all the other things because he doesn't want this bill to pass. He's going to argue every other provision because he doesn't want the tax increases to go through. So, according to reports, if the tax increases are nixed and they're just axed from this bill will most likely pass. So it's interesting. But here's what we know. Right now, many experts are anticipating the pay-fors are going to look something like this. Okay? Let me just break it down. IRS enforcement, which is going to bring about $700 billion. And this is actually according to the Washington Post. This is going to bring about $700 billion. A global tax overhaul, about $500 billion. A billionaire tax is going to bring in about $500 billion as well. And this is only going to tax those with a net worth of over $1 billion. Okay, so don't worry if you're worried you're going to get taxed. Don't worry. Chances are there's no billionaires watching this. I'm no billionaire, not even close. Okay, so we'll see what happens there. A stock buyback tax at $275 billion and a corporate 15% minimum at $150 billion. So that's going to bring in roughly $2 trillion in revenue to pay for this entire bill. Now, when we see the discussions moving forward, we get a little bit closer to a deal. And I said this before, and it happens every single time. It's not just about the stimulus package, it's about every single bill. You go back in history, every single bill that we've ever negotiated, we get very close to the end, and then all of a sudden, it feels like it's just breaking apart. Because that's where the negotiations are really coming in. So right now, even though it seems like the deal is just falling apart and we may not see this bill pass, just understand the negotiations pick up and they get the most intense when you're very close to getting the deal done. That's when they're most intense. That's when both sides are trying to stick to their guns. Okay? Just keep that in mind. We do know many Democrats are now saying that we are very close to a deal. But when reporters asked Senator Joe Manchin, are we going to have the framework for this deal? We going to have details of this bill by the end of this week? He told them, no, we're not even close. I don't anticipate we're going to see a deal done this week. So just understand there's two sides here. Which side would I go with? If I was betting on this, I would bet we don't have a deal done this week. I bet Joe Manchin is going to stick to his guns and he is going to make everybody cater to what his demands are. So just keep that in mind. Now, I want to address vaccines for a minute. On September 9th, President Biden signed an executive order to mandate that all federal employees get vaccinated. Some did, some didn't. Some got exemptions. But many people did not get them because they were worried of some type of adverse reaction. Well, this has actually been thought of. What we now know is that federal employees who experience any adverse reaction or are hurt can file a compensation claim. Yes, you can be compensated for being hurt. This means that let's say you're driving to the vaccination site. Doesn't matter. Let's say it doesn't matter where you go, right? You're driving down the road and all of a sudden, bam, you get hit by a car and now you're in the hospital. You're hurt. Well, according to multiple reports, you would qualify for compensation because you were going to get your vaccine, just like was mandatory for you to keep your job. Well, let's say you're there at the site. You didn't get in an accident. You got there safe and sound. And now you're walking through and all of a sudden you slip and fall, hit your head. Guess what? You would qualify for a compensation claim because you got hurt at the vaccination site. But let's say you actually have an adverse reaction to the vaccine, whatever it is. Guess what? You qualify. So yes, federal employees, you are now able to go and file a compensation claim. I do not know how difficult they are. I have not heard of anybody that has done one. Okay, this is something that I just was reading up on the other day. So it's still pretty new to me as well, but I promise I will do my due diligence and I'll read up on this to see how difficult it is, how many people are actually being accepted and qualifying for this, and is it really being paid out? So I promise I will do some research on that. Lastly, let me know if you guys are feeling this as well. Experts are saying that right now is no time to wait to buy items that you may need for the upcoming holiday season or just over the next couple of months. What they're saying is that we are going to see shortages on things other than just food and toys. We're going to see shortages on turkeys, Thanksgiving items. You want pumpkins? Well, we're probably going to see shortages there. You want a nice Christmas tree? Well, you might want to get out early and buy one because we may see shortages there as well. All sorts of things. We will see shortages. Pack your wrapping paper for your presents if you can afford it. Well, those might be on short supply as well. So what they're saying is that if you need any item, you are anticipating items in the future, make sure you can go and buy them early. One, because they could be sold out. Two, the prices could be much higher. They are expecting, and experts have been saying this for a little while, is prices are just going to continue to increase. So don't wait. If you have a little bit of money, first, buy the essentials that you know you're going to need in the future, because those things are most likely going to cost more in a month or 2 months' time. So I just wanted to keep you updated on that. But if you have any questions whatsoever, please, you can ask your questions down in the comment section below. Again, thank you guys for watching. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoyed today's video. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.